Hey guys and dolls. Oh my god, sorry, it's so weird. Like, turn on the camera and start drinking coffee, but oh! It's been a day. So I have spent the entire day swatching hella eyeshadow palettes. And my Bay Area is showing hella hello. My name is Vintage or Tacky. This is my channel. I'm from California. That's how we talk. So I'm going to be doing a huge video comparing 8 eyeshadow palettes that are available at Sephora because the Sephora sale is coming up. I know they already had the VIB Rouge last weekend. Now's one for everybody. It's open to everyone. It's a great sale. It's a great time to bulk up on skincare items and other products that you really like, and it's a fantastic time to really take advantage of the sale and get some of the holiday palettes that have come out this year. I'm going to be reviewing, as I said, 8 of them. These are going to be sort of mini reviews. There's not going to be like a eye look for each one because it's just not possible with the time constraint that I had. I had a little bit of an issue actually because I had purchased a couple of these palettes myself and some of them were sent to me through PR, but I didn't, like, I had like an issue with my PO box and I wasn't getting my packages and everything. It's been sorted out now, but what ended up happening is that it was like raining palettes on me all at once. They like kind of all came at the same time. So I have a lot to review here for you. What I want to do throughout the rest of this month and into December is do tutorials on each one of these individually. I want to know which ones you're most interested in seeing tutorials for first. So go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below which one you're most interested in seeing. I also have some palettes that were not available at Sephora, so I kind of omitted them from this one because this is kind of focused on the Sephora sale. But let me know if you guys like this format because then I'll do that for the other palettes as well and kind of just do like one big huge, because I think it's really helpful to see them all swatched within one video. Next thing I want to let you guys know about is I'm going to do an Instagram live for these palettes. What I'm going to do is get on there with the palettes kind of laid out on my desk here, and oh, my eye is itching. Okay, I'm good. I'm going to be doing that Instagram live at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that will be 10 o'clock on the East Coast, you know, for the United States, middle of the night in the UK. I have no idea what time that is in Australia, but hopefully you can join us too. I am going to put the video on my Instagram story, so if you're not able to make it, it will be available for 24 hours. If you're watching this video a week from now, sorry, you missed it. The last couple things I want to let you guys know is my swatching process. So what I do is I swatch everything on the top side of my arm. I shave the hair off my arm so there's no hair in the way. I just personally like it that way, so it just kind of works out that way. I put a half pea size amount of Urban Decay Primer Potion all over my arm. I'm fat, so my arms are bigger than some other YouTubers, so I definitely need that. And I kind of cover my whole arm, even places where I'm not particularly swatching, just in case it kind of ends up going there, and that way just kind of has a nice even coat throughout, like, kind of like putting lotion on. And then I will do a finger swatch. Sometimes I will build up the finger swatch, just depending on if I think that the shadow could be built up to a more impressive amount. And then I will do a brush swatch. I use the Smith 256 because it is a nice tapered, like flat blender. It's kind of like a miracle brush because it's sort of a shader and it's sort of a blender and it's sort of awesome. And I will either press the shadow this way, or my favorite is actually to go side to side. I find that doing side to side is more similar to how you put it on your eye. And occasionally I will also build up my brush swatches just to get an idea of like the intensity that you can expect. Some of these shadows can be built up even more, but I kind of see it as like reasonable intensity. This video is going to be kind of long. It's 8 eyeshadow palettes, 1 lip palette. The swatch section alone, even sped up at double speed, is 19 minutes long. So it's going to be a little bit of a long one. I will have some timestamps in the description bar down below if you would like to skip ahead to your favorite brand or revisit a section. Anything else I need to let you guys know? I don't think so. Starting out today with the Natasha Denona Lila palette. This palette is $29. You get 15 colors. Most of them are shimmery. There are 4 mattes, 11 shimmers. The colors in this are purple, which is why it's called Lila. Lila is, I believe, purple in Hebrew. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous palette. This is probably among my favorites. Like, if my house was burning down, this is the one that I'd probably try to save. The shadows in this palette are $3.4 per gram. I like that the names are on the plastic little cover there, so that it's sort of like uninterrupted when you're just looking at the colors. This palette is magnetized, so the shadows are removable, which is something I really like because that way you can put them in another palette if you like. The swatches here, as you can see, like the colors are incredibly intense. There's almost no difference between a finger swatch and a brush swatch. The colors are just incredibly vibrant and pigmented. I really fell in love with this. I've been using it quite a lot since I got it. This is one I've had the longest, I believe. And I have just gotten tons of use out of this. I took this with me to Orange County recently and was so impressed with the overall quality and just how quickly I could do an eye look with it because it does have some mattes. Now, in terms of creating like a complete look, you will need to pull a highlight because there isn't a highlight in this palette. The other thing is there's not really a lot of mid-tones. You do have Per Se and Nude Mauve, but because I'm pale, I need some lighter mid-tones, so I did have to pull in some kind of buddy colors in with this one to make it work. The other thing that I want to mention, is because these eyeshadows are like almost like a gel, like wet kind of formula, you can't pack too many of them on the lid before they start to sort of meld together. Now that can actually be a benefit. Oh my god, look at that color right there. Oh my god, that one is Pure, I think. Oh my god, it's just like one of the most lovely eyeshadows I've ever used. Anyway, you can't mix too many of them together, but that's kind of true with any kind of really great shimmer. There are lots of duochromes, there's really vibrant purples, there's rust, there's golds. And the last thing I want to make sure that you guys know about this palette is that there are 2.4 grams each eyeshadow, which is huge. These are actually some of the largest eyeshadows that I'm going to show you guys today, so you're getting a lot of product with this palette. This palette is also available at Beautylish, so I will have that link as well in case it sells that at the Sephora site. The next palette I want to share with you guys is the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. This palette is $65 for 25 grams. It's roughly $2.60 per gram. You get 1.3 grams of each eyeshadow, so a little bit on the smaller side. There are 18 colors, there are 8 mattes and 7 shimmers. It has this really great like overlay thing which protects the shadow from the mirror, or the mirror from the shadow, whichever way you want to look at it. So the mirror stays clean, which I really, really like that. And I like that it wasn't just like a plastic piece, it was actually something beautiful. That was a callback to the front of the palette, which is also quite lovely. There are 2 color shifting top coats. There are 8 mattes and 7 shimmers. And there's this really weird glitter that when I swatch it, you guys are going to see. It's kind of awkward. Not the biggest fan. The mattes in this palette are really impressive. I find that they go on super pigmented, but they don't look like drying, but they are very, very matte. And I don't know if this will make sense to anyone else who isn't like a total geek for eyeshadow, but not all mattes are created equal, and some just look more velvety than others, and these look incredibly velvety and rich, and just, I mean, look at that pigmentation, it's insane. The color shifting shades in this are really quite beautiful. There are a really great mix here. You have your rusts, and your purples, and your golds, and your oranges, and your reds, and it's just really, really great for anybody who loves this type of, you know, eyeshadow. The only real drawback is that there aren't really a lot of options for creating cool looks. There are a couple of cooler colors like musk. Amethyst could be played down to be a little more cool. Between the 2 colored shifting colors, Twilight and Retrograde, I like Twilight, and Retrograde is kind of like meh to me. And here you can see I'm swatching Amethyst. Amethyst is the only shadow in here that I didn't really feel like really performed well. However, that type of color is such a great bright pop of color that it's really great for using someplace like that as a transitional color or as a building color. So it's kind of okay for me that it's not super intense, because the way that I want to use it, I do kind of want it to be a little bit sheerer. This palette is also available at Beautylish, so I will have that linked below as well. I did purchase this one myself. I love this palette. This is definitely one that I was really excited to pick up, especially since I had kind of lusted after some of the other palettes and then I was disappointed with the reviews of them. And this is a company where I really appreciate the fact that they listened to their customers and said, hey, this, that, or the other thing isn't working, and then they changed those things. And I love seeing brands that really listen to their customers. I really appreciate brands that do take into account the customer feedback and everything. There's colors like Saffron that look streaky somehow, but like even when swatched with the brush, it looks smoother, so I smoothed it out with my brush. And Blazing is just the most gorgeous orange ever. This whole palette is just absolutely lovely. Definitely one I recommend. Next up, we have the Pat McGrath Labs Mothership 3 Subversive palette. This is a fantastic palette. It just really kind of hits all the marks for me in terms of the fact that it looks kind of gritty and cool with the outer packaging, which I am keeping. The inner packaging looks like really expensive, luxurious, lacquered furniture, like something just beautiful. It's a beautiful object. It has a beveled mirror on the inside. It's incredibly heavy, and that kind of led me to think that this was going to have a lot of product in it. Unfortunately, that's not the case. This palette is $125 for 13.2 grams of eyeshadow. So despite the fact that the pans look enormous, there's really not a lot of product in there. It's about 1.32 grams each, which makes them on the smaller side. Not the smallest ever, but definitely it's weird because they look enormous. Like the size of the pans is larger than a quarter. It's like a $half size, and it's just not a lot of product. Look at that gold though. Oh my God, that was worth it alone. Oh, and like really all the eyeshadows in here are fabulous. There's only one where I'm kind of iffy about it. In terms of the value that you're getting, this is 9.46 grams or $9.46 a gram, which is not a good value. Here I'm kind of rebuilding up that purple to show you guys that a lot of them are buildable, because on the first initial swipe, this is one of the first eyeshadow palettes that I swatched, so my swatching skills were a little bit rusty when I was doing this one. There are 4 shadows in here that appear to be baked. The other 6 look like traditional pressed pans. There are 2 mattes, 4 shimmers, and 4 pressed glitter pigments. The packaging is absolutely lovely. It just feels luxurious. The quality of the shadows, like you can see, there's some here, like the purple and the gray, I feel like needed a lot of building up, but I think it's because they're a slightly drier formula, but they also are really long lasting. I've worn them and they perform beautifully. Where something like this one, which is like a press, kind of like a glitter shadow kind of thing, it swatches amazing, but it also has a bit more fallout than the gray or the purple did. And here's the one shadow I'm not too keen on. This is Astral White, and it doesn't show up very well. So it's not so much that I dislike the color, it's just that it's harder to get it to show up on me. I think it would show up really great on somebody who has a deep skin tone. Alright, next we have the Urban Decay Heavy Metal palette. Every year I get really excited for the Urban Decay palettes, and actually I think they've outdone themselves. Aside from the kind of weird packaging, I think it's unique. I think it's, you know, different and something. It's weird to have the mirror in the middle. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of weird. But the fact that they did something new really excites me, and the quality of these eyeshadows completely. I'm not even kidding you guys. This is the best Urban Decay holiday palette I have ever used. I usually have a lot more criticism for them, and I think what they did this year is they just went full Monty. These are all shimmer. They are all incredibly pigmented, as you can see for yourself. For the most part, the brush swatch looks like the finger swatch. Some of them need a little building up. That first gray was, you know, it's a little bit sheer, but actually, like, it's still incredibly pigmented. It's just a little bit of a drier formula. Overall, it's interesting. When I pick these up with a brush, they almost look like little flakes of shadow on the brush, and then as I'm blending them in, they become smooth. It's really kind of trippy. It's like a pressed pigment. There are jewel tones and every kind of metallic you can think of in this palette. The only one of these eyeshadows that's kind of on the crumblier side is Angel Fire, and even it looks really beautiful on the skin. This is just like as I said, every metallic color that you will ever need. I find that the mirror thing is kind of weird. It's sort of impractical in practice because you have to hold this whole big heavy plastic thing if you hold your palettes when you use them, which I do tend to do. Trying to think what else you need to know. I found that soft fluffy brushes seem to work best than stiff flat ones. I really didn't think that worked well with this palette at all. You'll probably want to use an additional matte palette to supplement because these are all shimmer. So if you're going to put these on your lid, it's going to get really just kind of smushed together really fast. The only other palette or shadow in here that I don't think performs very well is Mullet, but in truth it's kind of a dark green anyway, and I think I just wanted it to be brighter. So I don't think it's necessarily that it's like it's a poor performer, it's just that like it's not as bright as I thought it would be. Trying to think what else. The packaging I didn't really talk about. The front outer case is a beautiful purple with like this ripple effect to it. It's quite lovely, and I really appreciate that they went with something completely different from anything that they've ever done and that any other brands are doing. And that's Angel Fire, by the way. That's the one that is chunky, but it actually goes on smooth. It's really weird. I don't know, but I'm here for it. Again, with this palette, like I mentioned about the Natasha Denona Lila palette and the Pat McGrath palette, there's almost no difference between the brush swatch and the finger swatch. They're great either way. It's a fantastic palette. I really definitely recommend this one. It's one of my personal favorites. If they hadn't sent it to me, I would absolutely buy this. It really kind of has a little bit something for everyone. There's warmer colors, there's cooler colors, there's pinker colors, there's bronzier colors. It's like literally everything you need. It's got multiple purples. I'm such a happy kid with this one. Next up, we have the Too Faced Just Peachy Velvet Matte Eyeshadow Palette. And this is a great palette. This is one I haven't gotten around to reviewing yet. This came out several months ago. I just haven't had the opportunity to review it yet, so I thought I would include it with this. This palette is $45 for 15 grams of eyeshadow. That works out to about $3 a gram, and there's 1.2 grams of each eyeshadow. There are 12 colors. In terms of like the texture of these shadows, they are super duper fine, and that's kind of a hallmark of Too Faced shadows, is that they don't tend to be like a thick, heavy eyeshadow. They do tend to be like a thinner, very finely milled eyeshadow, which is something I definitely appreciate. Because of this, though, you'll notice with some of the lighter colors, they're very kind of dusty. You don't have a lot of fallout from them when you're using them. It gets your palette kind of messy, and that's kind of the biggest bummer there. The other thing is you might need to layer them up a little bit more, not because the color intensity isn't there, but just to have something to kind of blend to. Oh my gosh, I'm like sitting here with the palette open, and it's very, very scented. That's one thing. If you have any kind of eye allergy, or you're kind of iffy about the scent thing, this one is one you're going to want to skip, because it is definitely scented. I do enjoy the scent, though. I think it's quite lovely smelling, and the palette itself is quite beautiful as well. Beautiful. It's beautiful. Next up, I have the Fenty Beauty Galaxy palette. This is $59 for 14 colors. You get 19.9 grams of product, which equals out to $2.96 per gram of product, and you get 1.4 grams per shadow. Now, this is one that when I initially swatched it, when I first brought it home, I was so impressed. I was like, oh my god, look at all this glitter. But I feel like as you continue to use this, it's almost like there was more glitter on like the top or something, and they become less and less impressive each time I swatch them. Now, I do think there is glitter throughout. I don't think it's an overspray, but they're kind of, okay, here's the thing, guys. I want to like this more than I do, and I don't, so I gotta keep it real with you guys. These are really pretty when swatched with a finger or patted very delicately with a sponge applicator, but in practice, they fall short of my expectations. The glitter gets everywhere, and it isn't dense enough to like pack on and just use as like a glitter eyeshadow, but then the base color is not like pigmented enough to like stand up on its own, so like you'd need to put something underneath them, and you need to be super delicate about them. And the thing is, to like make them intense, you have to put a lot of it on, which means you're going to get glitter fallout, you're going to have eyeshadow fallout, and these are not glitters that stick really well. So like by comparison, like a product that is similar would be like the Urban Decay Moon Dust shadows, or the Too Faced glitter shadows. Those ones are more glitter forward, so whenever you pack them on top of like a glitter glue, they're going to stick better. Whereas with this, there's enough of a base color to it to make that process a little bit more difficult. So for me, these are just more work than I'm willing to put in, because there are things that are so similar that work a lot easier. I do think that the bottom half of this palette works a lot better than the top half. So this part that I'm swatching now, these all performed much better than the top half of the palette, but overall, I'm not feeling it, and I'm really excited that Fenty, like for their first eyeshadow palette, they went for glitter, they went big, but I just think that the formula needs work. Next up, I have the Colourpop Semi Precious palette. This is $26, so definitely on that cheaper price point. Really great for anyone if it's on a budget, but you want a really fun palette. This is $26 for 16 grams of shadow, which works out to 1.6 grams a dollar per gram is what I'm trying to say. There are 8 colors. Each of these shadows is 2 grams, so it's a lot of product, fewer colors. Color-wise, for me, this palette is sort of like a palette of lid shades, which is true for some of the others as well, but to me, none of these colors go together well. Like, they're not harmonious. They kind of just seem kind of odd. They're gorgeous. They are all individually beautiful. This is still a palette that I would recommend if you're interested, because the formula is incredible. It's so smooth on this. So smooth, so pigmented. You can see the finger swatch and the brush swatch are identical. Definitely worth picking up, but just using them together might not work out for you. Next up, we have another Colourpop palette. This is the Golden State of Mind. So this is also $26. They are $1.7 per gram. There are 15 grams total, 1 gram per shadow. So with this one, there was a color missing, which was kind of odd. I'm not holding it against the brand. This was sent to me through PR, so I'm not mad about it. But just something I know, I mean, there's impossible not to notice it that I'm not able to swatch. I think it's Pay the Piper is the one I'm not able to swatch. Nevertheless, this is a gorgeous palette. The my favorite one is definitely Girlfriend, the one I just swatched. That beautiful, like, gorgeous pink duochrome shadow. Oh, it's so pretty and icy and lovely. This is another palette that is all shimmer all the time, another palette of lid shades, but with this one you have some colors that are going to work together a little more harmoniously and can definitely go in the same look together. It does seem a little bit redundant. That's one thing that I feel about this one, is that it is a little bit on the redundant side. I do believe this eyeshadow palette and the Semi Precious are both Sephora exclusives, but don't quote me on that. That's just information I got from the Sephora website. They also said that Fenty Beauty was exclusive, and that's available at fentybeauty.com, so whatever. Really great colors in this palette. I'm extremely excited about the fact that Colourpop is now at Sephora. That is huge, because Colourpop is a brand that I didn't get into initially because it seemed weird. A lot of their shadows are that kind of gel cream formula. These are definitely pressed eyeshadows, and formula wise these are very similar to the Urban Decay ones, where they're sort of like a pressed pigment. They're less smooth than the Semi Precious. So if you're going to compare the Golden State of Mind palette to the Semi Precious one, both are from Colourpop. One comes with larger pans, the Semi Precious. The Golden State of Mind comes with smaller pans, much more colors, much more harmonious colors, and they have more of a pressed pigment type formula, whereas Semi Precious is a little bit smoother and more of a metallic formula. Both are really great. If for my money, I would go with the Golden State of Mind. That's my personal favorite of these two palettes. Last but certainly not least today, I'm going to be reviewing the Vice Metal Meets Matte Lip Palette. Now, I love the Vice lip palettes. I think they're genius. I love that they have this great big mirror. They have the cover over the lipstick, so you're not going to get powder or anything flying into it. And the brush that these come with is fabulous. It's literally my favorite lip brush. I always have one in my bag. I'm not going to show you the whole process of me swatching each one of these, because I unfortunately was out of frame for a lot of it, but I did want to show you a color like Big Bang looks sheer because it's just a sheer lipstick. That's just what it is. This palette is $35 for 8.4 grams, which is more than 2 full tubes of lipstick, and this is about the cost of buying 2 of the Vice lipsticks. This is roughly $4.16 a gram. You get 12 colors, 1.4 grams per color. One thing I want to show you guys, some people are hesitant to get a lip palette. With this, the lip brush is retractable, so you can load up your brush with color and then touch it up later. So I didn't do lip swatches of all of these because I just don't have time. However, I wanted to show you guys one of my personal favorite colors from the palette. This one's called Fast Talk. It is phenomenal. Also, I am wearing 2 of the colors from this palette, CSB and Banger, on my lips today. So that is what I've got on my lips. That is my mega review of hella different palettes from this year. Let me know what you guys thought of the format of this video. A little bit different, more of like kind of an overview of different things that are going on. Be sure to check in with my Instagram live if you're seeing this video before that happens. If not, be aware that I'm going to do that more often. I'm going to do more Instagram lives because it's a really great way to connect with you guys and get that instant feedback from you and answer your questions live. So that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure you subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next tutorial. I might be vintage or tacky, but just be your own kind of beautiful. See you, bye.